All right, here we
Hey,
go. So
well,
today I got a special guest on with me. It's been a long time coming for me. A good friend of mine, based over in Cairo, Egypt. Um, I'm not going to do the honors. I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself, and then we'll go ahead and jump into you know the episode for today. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
hello everyone. I'm Islam Bro, based from Cairo, Egypt now, and so glad to meet you all.
All right, man. So we gotta take it back to the beginning. Um, So we got to talk about how we first met. I think it was a coincidental thing. Out at a race. So do you remember that day? What was it? The Wild
It was a
Gabbana,
race.
the
Yeah,
Wild Gabbana
yeah, one
race that was
Gabbana.
supposed to be 25 kilometers, but it ended up being shorter than 25 kilometers.
Yep.
So man, what do you remember about that day? About the Wild Gabbana race out in the Wadi?
Yeah, this race was like new to me. It was my first time to run in the Wadi ever. Wadi Degla, this is in Maadi. And I was just in Cairo for I was living abroad and just came back to Cairo 2 weeks. Like just relocated to Egypt 2 weeks ago, and I saw an ad for this Wadi 21 kilometers on, and I thought like, okay, let's do it. Let's see what's over there in the Wadi. And I remember also like they said it was a self-sustained race, so I had my backpack, like the hydration pack with me. And then when I went there, like there was water and food everywhere. And like, so why did you tell me to bring my own water and and nutrition? Like you have it over here. So yeah, that was strange also. But yeah, at the finish line, maybe at the finish line or at the start line, I don't remember. But we were like not running, and you saw me. I had a t-shirt like this one. It's like the yellow run, the t-shirt with the big yellow run
Yeah,
on it was a yellow Nike. And then you commented on it. It's like, hey, dude, this yellow run thing, oh, that's super cool. I'm like, yeah, that's my club. That's my organization. Those are the people I roll with, the yellow run people of Saudi. And then we hit it off since then, right?
yeah, man. Yeah, I still remember that race as well. Like you said, it was supposed to be self-supported. I too had a hydration pack on that day. It was super warm out. I do
Hmm.
remember that. And you had people out handing out water. But the funny part about it, man, again, it was supposed to be 25 kilometers. And so for my Americans out there, 25 kilometers, you're talking about just over 15 miles. So, but the race got cut short. The race ended up being around 21K, so the distance of a half marathon. And for me, it messed me up mentally. I remember that day because I was set to run a 25K, so I was like pacing myself much differently. And then when I got to the halfway point at the end of the wadi where they had to turn around where the water was, it threw me off because I felt like there was still some more distance. And like, I start seeing people take off, and you were one of them too, man. Like you start cooking. And so you just start booking it back in. And I was like mentally preparing myself for a longer race, and it never came for me. And so I actually was shot. So I didn't even run my best race. And I think at that point, I think you said you ran your fastest half marathon that day, up to at least to that point, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm. Yeah, back then because like yeah, you put yeah mentally you pace yourself for a longer race, but then
Right.
it comes short and at the turning point. Okay, so now I've saved a lot of energy, but I have a shorter distance. Like, yeah, let's empty it all on the way back. But having a shorter race is better than having a longer race.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, for
being a
sure.
21 instead of 25 is better than they missing it up to be a 30 kilometers. That we will suffer with this.
Yeah, for sure, man. I want you to you touched on something. You talked about your Yalla run, and I was a big fan. And again, being in Egypt, that Yalla means run, right? Or let's go. So, being able to see that on the front of your shirt, that really appealed to me. And you spoke about this organization that you founded or co-founded over in Saudi Arabia, man. If you can go ahead and tell us how that came about, and what's the name of your organization that you helped found over in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, the Yalla Run, it's bilingual. So Yalla in Arabic means let's. So Yalla Run, it's let's run. But Yalla is in the Arabic and run is in English. This is because Yalla Run is an organization that helps people in the Middle East develop their running habit or running sport or their running culture. But this might seem odd for the listeners that no one does this in the Middle East. Like in English, in Spanish, in French, you can find all the information you want about running online, but in Arabic, the language of the Middle East, it does not exist. But this is what we do now. How it started is when I relocated to Saudi Arabia, I started running in the street. Like, this is my habit. This is what I do usually. So I started running in the street. There is not a lot of people running, although they have a very, very beautiful waterfront. But all the people are just walking or spending the night or just chilling at the waterfront. Usually in other countries where I travel, if there is a waterfront and you stand there for 5 minutes, you will spot 3, 4 runners like doing their thing. But I was there, nobody was running. I tried a couple of runs, tried new routes because it's a new country for me, new city. I don't know where to go, what to do. And then I met two people, like one called Rob and the other is Nisreen. So Nisreen is a Saudi local single mother and Rob is from Singapore. And the three of us, like, we wanted to run more, right? Running with people is better than running alone. So we started this Yalla Run and said, like, okay, it's the three of us now, and let's add more people as we meet them in the street. So initially we were recruiting people from the street. You spot people running and then you ask them, hey, do you want to run with us? They say yes, like, okay, jump in, join. It's rare to find someone, but once you find them, they kept coming. Like with the social media, we had a social media channel, Instagram page, and one of the first members was Amir. He's also Saudi local, and he was doing 100 kilometers walk to collect money and raise awareness for treating child cancers. And with his walk and he mentioning that he runs with us, that kept the ball rolling. More people started joining us. And in the beginning, it was not Yalla Run. In the beginning, it was called Jeddah Running Community. So the Jeddah Running Community was a running club in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And then it kept growing. It kept growing also because we were the only club that accepts both genders and we run publicly in the streets. Later on, we found that, there is another running club, but they only run inside compounds because they're afraid of running in the street because of the culture is not used to it and they may be harassed or they may not be that comfortable running in the street. And there was another club running the streets, but it was only for males. No females are allowed in that club. So we were the only club that's in a mixed group and running publicly in the street to raise awareness. Because when people see you running in the street in a mixed group and you see how sport makes you happy, they would love to join. Like it will be a normal sight. Like, and now we're talking now about 8 years later. Go to Jeddah now, look at this stand on the beachfront, and you will see people running in groups or individuals. But we started this movement. So after the Jeddah club, Jeddah running community, I moved to Riyadh for another business project, and I started there again. Did the same cycle again in Riyadh, and it's called Riyadh Urban Runners with the help of Amal over there. She's the head now, and she's doing amazing work in Riyadh. It was harder because culture Riyadh is more strict. The weather is much more hot, and there is no beachfront. You run in the desert. Okay, so both of those clubs are now under the umbrella of Yellow Run organization, which you can access at yellowrun.org. It's a website online. You know everything about it. The Yellow Run organization now, in addition to managing the two clubs, we are providing all the information that anyone in the Middle East wants to know about running. Nutrition, training, races, routes, clubs and athletes, super athletes, everything. We provide the content in Arabic and soon will be in English also.
Oh man, that's awesome right there. And as long as I know you, you never really broke it down that far for me. So some of that information was brand new. And I think you hit on something very important there when you start talking about the inclusion of both genders. Coming from the Western world, it's very normal to see both men, women, people consider non-binary, in the spectrum of sexuality. They're participating in sports activities and things like that, and nobody kind of bats an eye. It's kind of cultural to being involved with activities. Though inclusion is a lot different when you start talking about people from different walks of life, and this aspect of actually getting women out to run is something that for some people that is just mind blowing, because you got to realize in a country like Saudi, even going down to Egypt, that's not culturally acceptable for women to be out running, especially in certain type of attire as well. Just being able to just to kind of be out and kind of were there any types of outside of your groups, were there any resources, any type of panels or anything that was given for women on talking about like women's inclusion, talking about women's safety while out in the streets and things like that? How did you guys further education with women participating, and also just kind of letting the community know that, hey, women are out here, they're doing this, and accept them as they are. So yeah, man, is there anything that you guys were doing to kind of help kind of put the word out there for it, whether it be in Saudi or if it's over in Egypt as well?
Yeah, we do it everywhere. Now it's much easier. Now after all what we've done and the progress in the culture and in the communities, it's much easier now. But back then, women were afraid. Like we always got these messages on Instagram, like, "Is it safe? Can we do it with you? How can you guarantee our safety?" But people here does not accept this, and every sort of people, women wanted to join, but they were reluctant, like they were afraid something was wrong, something was off, always. Uh, then, like we're talking 2014, 2015, all women in Saudi, by law, must wear abaya. Abaya is like a big dress that covers the whole body, and it's a one piece. It's like a dress. And for women to run in the streets in this abaya, it was dangerous for them. Like she could trip and fall off at any time. And this abaya It does not, it's not dry fit. It does not work well when you're sweating or you're doing sport. So one of our first initiative was to design a custom sport abaya. So it is a dress, but it's custom made so you can do sport in it. And this
It's
was
kind of
one
like
of
the
the
idea when
first.
it's kind of the idea when Nike kind of created the hijab, right? The
Yeah.
nice one that was dry fit that you see more prevalent now from women in sports.
hmm Yeah, so we did this custom made abaya, and it was a huge step because when people now, like when women now see that they can run comfortably in this dress, they started joining more. They started taking it to other places. Like they started going with it to the park or to a walk, and people it also, man, it was good for sport and it looked cool. Like people wear it everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, that was one of the ways that we started it. Another thing was that we had, like, on Fridays we always run in out of the city, in the desert, in camping areas, in hiking tracks, and that was more safer. It was a more easier choice for women because when they run out of the city, there is not a lot of people around, so nobody would bother them, less bothering. And yeah, it worked. We took it step by step, step by
Yeah,
step. We kept building it, and we are still building it till today.
yeah, man, that's great to hear. So let's talk about running in Egypt, man. Running in Egypt is probably the most unique place to run in. I would probably say it is probably the second busiest place to run in the world behind like India. That might be the only comparison you can make it to. So when you start talking about Cairo, you're talking about 25 million people inhabiting an area about like the size of like, or you think about like the population of Southern California and like a smaller landmass, like, people living on top of people and things like that. What's that experience like running in Cairo? Like, what are some of the challenges that not only yourself but other runners or people doing sport? What types of things do you run into while training? Because again, I'm currently in Milan, and being from Vegas, like we have roads that are nicely paved. You have sidewalks. There's organization. So kind of let them know what it's like, man, running over in Cairo.
Yeah, man, in Cairo it's difficult. Not, yeah, being born, like being raised in Egypt, being living in Cairo now for 10 years, yeah, I'm used to it. Everybody in Cairo is used to it. But if someone comes from another place and tries to run here over here, whoa, it's not that easy because you don't have sidewalks, traffic is not organized, and yeah, people on their feet are not appreciated in the street. You know, like everywhere, you have a driving rule that it's a priority for those who are walking. But in Egypt, no, you have to fight for your place. So I have to fight for my spot on the street to run against the cars. But you get used to it. We don't have sidewalks, so we run in the street, so you always have to run against the traffic so you can see the cars coming towards you. It's much safer and easier that way. Running in the early morning is always better because there is less traffic. And running at night is very dangerous because not all the streets are properly lit. So maybe someone will not see you. Yeah, that's
You,
not
you,
mentioning the
you,
stray dogs in the street, man.
that's what I'm saying, man. I was about to say, how could you talk about running in Cairo and not mention the dogs in the street, man? That's all part of that experience right there. I
Yeah,
mean, those stray dogs, man. That might be your number one challenge right there is actually the street dogs.
Yeah, man, that's still the case until today. And they have a mind of their own, you know. One day you pass by the dog and he's like sleeping and chilling, and you just run next to him and he's okay. Second day, the same dog. And he's like, no, you're not passing from here, bro. He started barking and chasing you everywhere. It's like, dude, come on. I was just here yesterday. You're my friend now.
Yeah, no, those dogs, man. I like to call them speed training because they start coming after you and you just kind of pick it up a little bit. So that's that speed training.
Uh-huh.
Want to go ahead and kind of make a shift, man. Just kind of, there's something special coming up for you this coming Sunday that you kind of you threw out at me. And the reason why this is special is because it's your second time being able to do this particular race, but also too, man. I know last year you came off of a rather horrific injury that sidelined you, and from what I know, man, you're ahead of schedule. If you want to take us back, first off, before we even get into the race that's just coming Sunday, if you could talk about, man, that night that you decided to cross the road and you know, things kind of changed in the blink of an eye for you.
Yeah, my man. Yeah, I was just saying traffic in Egypt is not that good and streets are dark. So one night it was weekend night, and
How about this? I still know it was a Thursday night. It was a Thursday night
yes,
that it happened.
uh-huh. It was a Thursday night, and me and you were planned to run the next Friday morning.
Yeah,
So
we were supposed to be doing a half marathon. It was going to be my
yes,
last race in Egypt.
uh-huh. So yeah, and like I was coming back from work, it was so late. Crossing the street is a dark street. I was crossing, and everything was good. Like I'm 99% finished with my crossing, and it's only one step to the sidewalk. And then this dude on a motorcycle, he decided to like take a turn and then found me in front of him in a blink of an eye. Yes, literally in a blink of an eye. Like I just looked right, and he was just in my face. No, I didn't have the time even to to be shocked or anything. I looked right, and he's like, boom. I'm like, okay. So yeah, this accident happened, and I broke a part of my hip. It's called the neck femur. So the neck femur is like the connection between the hip joint and the actual bones. So it's the connection between the two. This neck femur is got cracked, and I had to do surgery and insert about five titanium rods in my leg, and they will stay there forever. Usually, this surgeries never you come out of this surgery different than before. And for me, different means that this leg is shorter 2 centimeters than the other leg. So for the rest of my life, I will be imbalanced while I'm walking or running. Yeah, and this was 14 months ago. During this period, like for the first 3 months, I did not run. Like I barely walked for the first 3 months, and then I started walking. Then I started doing my physiotherapy, which allowed me to get back on running. You know this. I don't remember, like, but I don't remember I told you this before, but like I was there. The guy, like the physiotherapy doctor, he told me that okay, now you have 2 centimeter difference. It's called leg length discrepancy. I can't say it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
2 centimeter difference between both legs, and I will be imbalanced for the rest of my life. And then I walked out from this clinic. I decided, like, okay, fuck it, I'm going to Dahab. I'm gonna do something. I went there, took a diving course. But while I'm there, I was scrolling on the social media and I saw a race, a half marathon in Alexandria, the ad for Alexandria half marathon. And I'm like, man, I don't even run now, but I'm gonna sign up for this. I signed up, but not for the half marathon. I signed up for the 5K race. I said, okay, no matter what, I can finish a 5K. And I trained while I was there in Dahab. I trained walking. Kept walking in Dahab for the distance, 3Ks, 5Ks, blah blah blah. And then on the race day, I went there. Races start at different times. So the 21 wave already started, the 10K wave already started, and I'm standing there among the 5K wave, which is around 30 people only. Not all of them. 90% of them are mothers with their children. I'm in a family run, and everybody is ready to take pictures, and they are in full makeup and fully dressed, like nicely dressed. Like those people did not come here to run; they come here to have fun, just have fun. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. I'll just do my thing. Went out for the 5K, and my plan was to walk it, the whole thing. Like walking a 5K is like 1 hour. Yeah, I can do this. But once the race started, I walked for 1 minute and then like, nah, I'm not gonna walk this. I'm used to running. I'm gonna run. So I started doing a walk-run intervals of 1 minute each, which was hard, but I was able to finish it in around 35 minutes. Yeah, 5 kilometers in 35 minutes. It's a long time. It's very slow for a runner, but it was an achievement for me. I was planning to do it in 1 hour, but I finished it in 35 minutes. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's a good start. And I kept adding on from this part until today. 1 year later, and I'm 2 half marathons done and a couple of many training runs. And so I was training, and it's the part now that I worry about, that next week I have a race that I have signed on in 2019. Like I paid for this race, I registered for this race in 2019. From 2019 to today, that's a totally new world. Not the same one as 2019. That you got the pandemic, you got a lot of stuff happening, and me with my accident. That's 3 years ago. This race is in South Africa, Durban, and it's called Comrades. Yeah, it might be. Do I keep on or do you want to put some comments on it?
Yeah, man. I mean, what is it? What kind of distance? What's the kind of layout of the race? The format of the race? Because I briefly know what Comrades is, but man, just go ahead and break it down for us. And this is just miraculous, man. Just thinking about your journey, because I remember when you first off, when I was messaging you about actually doing that last race, you didn't get back to me. It took you some days to get back to me. And then you eventually text me and was just like, man, don't say nothing to nobody, but I get hit by a motorcycle. And I just remember my heart dropping, boom. And then, after we started talking a little bit more, you started to discuss and say, they talked about you couldn't run for 18 months. I still remember that, man. You were like, I can't run for 18 months. And to think that we're only, 14 months since your accident and you're about to go run Conrads. Dude, you're still not even supposed to be running right now. And you're talking about that you're about to go tackle this run. And I remember when you posted online about that 5K that you just spoke about. It had me running to you, texting you real quick, bro, you running already? I had no idea, man, that you were back out there. And dude, that just man, for me, that just said a lot about, who you are as a person, and just how you get down, man. And I guess I shouldn't be surprised because that's the person I've known since we met. You just tackle one thing after another when it comes to this running game. So it was like I shouldn't have been surprised, but man, I am, just considering knowing that that up front they talked about you not being able to do anything for 18 months. And so, yeah, man, again, just kind of break down, give us a quick rundown of what Comrades is.
Yeah, bro, this Comrades is a race. They call it the ultimate human experience because it is really. It has been going on for 95 years now. It's like almost 100 years. The same races is on every year. They only stopped one time. They only stopped one time for the World War II because people were in the war. Like nobody would run back then, and they stopped the last 2 years because of the pandemic, 2020 and 21. But beyond those 3 years, 95 times this race was done. The race is a distance between two cities, one called Durban and the other one is Pietermaritzburg, both in South Africa. And the distance between them is almost 90 kilometers. The case with Comrades is when you go, Durban is 800 meters in elevation below Pietermaritzburg. So when you go from Durban to Pietermaritzburg, you're going up the whole way. Like for 90 kilometers, you're going up with an average elevation percent of 5, which is like super tough. So you go uphill, down, and then uphill, down, and then up a lot more, and then down, and like, oh, it was tough. I did it in 2019. It was a totally different experience than any race that I've done. Like I almost did 80 marathons, but marathons and ultra marathons. But this one is the special one because you see the vibes around there. You see the people, 50,000 people on the start line waiting to suffer for 90 kilometers.
To suffer.
Yeah, that's not easy at all. And like the Commoners, the Commoners organization, they provide water stops every 3 kilometers, which is very good, very convenient. You don't have to worry about water or electrolytes or bananas. They provide this every 3 kilometers. But in addition to this, you see people like the communities around there. The communities, they have their own water stops also. So like you will find a family, they set up a table and provide anything you want on this table. You can find anything you want. Energy gels, food, bananas, fruits, water, electrolytes. Even some families, they provide tequila shots. You can have one shot while you're running. The vibes there is awesome. It's a 90 kilometers. It's a suffering. It's upwards, but you love it. When you finish, you see like, oh my man, that's awesome. And that I did it in 2019.
Is it a race? Don't you have like cutoff times or something like that you must meet for you to be able to finish the race?
Yes, the whole race, you have to finish it in 12 hours, the whole race. But there is 3 cutoff times, like cutoff checkpoints during the route. So for you to finish it, you have to be faster than a pace of 7 kilometers. 7 kilometers per hour. Is it 7? No, 7 minutes per kilometer. You have to be faster than 7 minutes per kilometer to go through the whole checkpoints. How fast are you? Faster than this, that means how good are you? And they have also special buses. Like at every cutoff point, they have a bus, and the bus is written on the side of it with very large font. It's written Baylor's bus. Okay, so if you miss the cutoff, you have to ride on this bus, and the bus will take you to the finish line. But it's called Baylor's, like with a big font. When I saw it last time, it's like, fuck no, I will not get in this one. You know, like even if I miss the cutoff, I will walk it back. I will Uber it back, but I will not get on this bus. So
Yeah,
the
man. Well,
race.
definitely.
Yeah, the race goes one year from Durban to Pietermaritzburg, which is called the Up Run, and the next year is from Pietermaritzburg to Durban the other way, and it's called the Down Run. Down Run. So this year the Down Run is 90 kilometers, and the 12 hours cut off. Again, it starts from Pietermaritzburg and finishes at Durban, and it's
Okay, so
Sunday.
each year you say it flips around. The starting point switches each year.
Yes, they switch each year. Yes.
Okay.
And when you do 2 years in a row, they give you a third medal. Actually, it's called a back-to-back medal, which is a nice gesture. Okay, if you do the up run and on the second year you do the down run, when you are at the finish line, okay, of course, the first year you do your first race, first comrades, and at the finish line you get a medal. The second year, you finish the race. At the finish line, you get 2 medals. One for this year's race, and the other one is because you did the two back-to-back in consecutive years, which what I'm looking for this year.
All
Hopefully.
right. Yeah, man. Can't wait to see that, man. We definitely be following for sure. Um, yeah, and I'm just gonna go back to the idea of like the community of running. I know in Cairo when I arrived there in 2014, the kind of the fitness running boom was kind of just taking off, and I know since then there's been a big increase in running. There's a lot of local races happening. You're seeing the increase in like CrossFit. You're seeing the numbers in rowing. But the big one has been a triathlon, which is starting to turn into the Egyptian sport these days. Starting to get a lot of people who are doing really well in the triathlon on a global scale. And, just thinking about those, I think about the different groups where we lived in Madi. I know for the both of us, and some other people that we know, when it came to the groups and where we were, it wasn't always a proper fit for us. Like we didn't think that the group dynamics worked out best for us. Though we did, participate here and there with them, different runs, training runs or and whatnot. But there was just some things about just like the overall dynamics of the groups that didn't really fit us. And so we ended up creating our own group. It was an unofficial group called the Madi Free Agents. Because we didn't belong to a particular team or a particular group. I felt like we were kind of the purest when it comes to that, because I think that running is probably one of the most inclusive activities or sports that you can do, because nobody owns the streets. It's a very minimal sport. You need your shoe, you need a pair of shoes, top, bottoms, whatever you prefer when it comes to that. But that's the most basic thing. And then, in some of these other like groups and teams, there were different specifications. There were things that you had to do, and so that was something unique with us, is that, we just kind of did our own thing. We supported in so many different ways. And not only did we support one another, but we supported other people throughout in the running community. Whether that's, getting people to join us for different types of runs, just whatever it was, man, it was just different for us. And so, when you kind of think about running as a community, and this can go tap back into when you were in Saudi as well. When you think about the running community, what makes that special to you?
Yeah, the community, man, is, recreation runners most of them are good people, because running, and I know this for sure, it's always when you run next to someone for a long distance, like say 10, 15 kilometers, when you run next to someone, you suffer together. Like you go through this journey of physical pain together. And what you do is cheer each other, like comfort them during the journey. So running with people, you always speak to whomever next to you. You always speak, you always open your heart, and people like talk about anything, random stuff. When you're running, you don't want to talk about running. When you're running, you're talking about any other thing than running. Talking about
Yeah.
running you do when you're not
True.
running. And so you run next to someone and you started talking, and then those people become your friends, and then you meet again and you want to meet again, and then you run again, and then you ask him, hey, what did you do? And this last thing you were complaining about last week, or you're telling me about that story last week, and you keep the conversation going. Running communities are beautiful in this part, that they go through a journey of physical pain together, so they try to comfort each other. They are not competitive. Most of the running groups are not competitive. You see them, they run because everyone runs on his own schedule. Like nobody is the same as the other. Each one of us is unique, from body features to strength and breath, heart rate, everything. So everybody has his own agenda for this training of today, but what combines them together is the love of the sport, what combines them together is the love of companionship while in this journey. And like last Friday, I was running with our friend Ashley. And she like for most of the run, she was going about. So she told me that she got engaged, and I'm like, wow! So tell me the whole story. And like I listened to the whole story about her engagement and Eric, and how they are now living next to each other, and when they went back to the US, and what did they do there? It was a nice story, and talking to people and talking with people where is just make this physical pain much more tolerated, you know.
It does.
And some
It
some
really
some
does.
clubs try to some clubs or running groups put the
Yeah, no worries, man. I can hear you now.
so some groups try to add an exclusivity part to their group, like you have to do this, or you have to be from this part of the city, or you have to be one of us. Yeah, it might work for them, but it's not for the better fit of the anyone else, you know. So yeah, when we started, it, we do not belong to a group. I don't belong. I only belong to the Yalla Run organization. I love everybody else. I run with everybody else, but I'm not committed to someone. I'm not committed to a group. This part was difficult when I came back to Egypt. When I left Egypt, I was also the same. I was running short distances in a city which culturally was not prepared for running. But when I came back and I find that there is a running club or running group everywhere you go. And every time I run in the morning, I meet one of them. So sometimes I join them. Sometimes I have my own training for today. I don't have to be, I don't want to miss my training for today. But some people, yeah, make it exclusive and tell you, no, you cannot run with us. Just like, what? Why? Why do you do this? Like, what's
Right, right,
us?
right. Right. And I get when you talk about higher level people, when you start talking about people who are like sub professional, that's a different level. But like you said, when we're recreational runners and you start putting all these rules in place, and you went from the idea of inclusivity to exclusivity because you want something of your own. So yeah, I want to take you back to 2020, December 2020. I think it was December 11th and 12th. Hathor over in the Sinai, Egypt, where we did our ultra marathon there. That covered 2 days, and I'm gonna use that word that you were using. You were talking about the journey, and that's exactly what that was. That was a heck of an experience. And the Hathor race, I think we ran the second edition of it that year. And the Hathor race is a ultra marathon that takes place in the Sinai of Egypt. And this is covering a lot of historical grounds over in the area. And it's a I guess you can call it a staged race because it takes place over 2 days. With the first day, we ran, I think the distance was supposed to be a marathon distance, so just over 42K, with the remaining 58K being done on the second day. And I just remember getting out on that first day, man, and just kind of figuring it out. I wouldn't call myself that much of a trail runner at that time, especially we hadn't had much training in like sand and things like that, which was a big part of that first day. Running with the sand gaiters on. I think we both had a very cheap pair of sand gaiters. I know that my shoes were packed with sand. I had to knock them out a couple of times on that first day. And I just remember, hitting up a couple of the rest stops and some of the bouldering that we had to do. Like, I think after the first rest stop on day one, we had to go down into that little canyon and there was like pools of water, just going through and just being out there. And, actually getting lost at the end. We were making good time on that first day, and we ended up getting off course because you were supposed to have the map up either on your GPS on your phone or on your watch, and neither one of us had it, I believe, I know I definitely didn't have it. I'm not sure if yours connected, but we went off course for like a kilometer, and we stood there, and that's when Mike came to us. He got lost too, and we were actually we ran a kilometer too far, which means we had to run that kilometer back. So we actually ran further than some people on that first day. And on the second day, man, that was kind of the kicker, where we had the you had to climb up to the no, that was first day. Sorry, that was first day Hathor, and that's when I was cramping. I don't know if you remember when you guys were climbing up the mountaintop, man. I was sitting there. I had to stay behind because I was really cramping up, and even getting to that rest stop where I had to lay down and get some massage and some other things. And you're like, man, I can't stop. I got to keep going. So, what do you remember about that first day experience at Hathor?
Yeah, this first day was awesome. It was totally different thing than what I've ever seen in my life. Running, I think the first day was 60 kilometers or 40.
No, we did the 42, but we did the additional 2, so we were almost at 45 kilometers on the first day.
So it was a 40 kilometers, but the terrains change every 5 kilometers maybe. So you have 5 kilometers of sand, and then 5 kilometers in the boulders, 5 kilometers of grits. Then you go up a mountain. And then at this part, you had to stop at the checkpoint, and I'm like, if I stop, I would not be able to move again. So I just kept walking, and I knew that you will catch me again later. I will just keep walking, and if he runs, he'll catch me in 5-10 minutes. And you did. Man, that was totally tough one, because we start not that early. We started with the dawn. With the sunrise, we started with the sunrise, so it was sunny for the whole race. And you are in the desert. There is not much wind. The weather is, yes, it's December, it's the winter, but the weather out there is always hot. And I did not have, for some technical reason, they gave us this GPX file that you have to upload to your watch, and for some technical reason, I don't know, my watch did not accept day one file. So I had the file on my phone and I had the phone in the hydration pack. So I don't want to stop and get out the phone every 2, 3 minutes. So we always relied on what markers are on the route
Right.
until that point that like, yeah, we were not far from the finish when we got this.
No, we
Wow.
wasn't, man. Like I said, we were a kilometer off. When we came down that little path, we were supposed to turn right instead of going straight, and we just kind of stayed straight. And then we realized that no, this ain't the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And then day two was one that we started really early. I think we started at 5 a.m. You know, you had to have the headlamp and things like that.
Yeah.
And I still remember that one too, man. That was the one that really started off in the sand. I want to say like the first 3-4 kilometers is in sand, and then we had to go up the hill. And the cool part of that is that, you know, you have the camels kind of leading us through. And so you got the camel, like you're running up on the backside of the camel. And I just remember and feeling good that day too, man. Getting out there and and I love that we packed up. You know, what is about 7, 8 of us in a pack to start out with until we got to the second checkpoint, and that's when they kind of like separated, which was pretty cool, man. I mean, because we were in the lead pack. I mean, everybody in that pack was the front of the race. And we were in a position to do something, and neither one of us set out to, you know, we had no idea what we were doing. And you know what? Once we got to checkpoint 2, we just kind of like we sat in on our own race, and we just, you know, the way we was feeling, we were like, man, we just pull off. And I just remember going to I think was at checkpoint 4. Everybody was talking about it had the soup, it had like the soup, and it had the other stuff there, and you know, just kind of getting through that wash, man, that was difficult with all that loose gravel in there. And every time you take a step, that, you know, your foot go to the side, so you really wasn't gaining any distance. And so that was, to me, that was probably the most difficult part of the weekend. There was that piece with those rocks. But once we got up and around, and we came down that hill following that truck, and we saw those kids at checkpoint 5, bro. That was it for us right there, man. That was great. We knew we were on the home stretch. I think we were down to like the last 10K or so. So it was like a victory lap. But man, being able to cross that line with you that day, man, just, it was special. It was special. And knowing that, you know, the stuff that we endured over that, you know, 36-hour period or so like that. And as you spoke about going back to the journey, man, suffering together. And I mean, we've had many of those moments, been able to suffer together out on runs. And that was just kind of a culmination of our experiences right there together. So, yeah, man, I know I thank you then, but I definitely want to thank you again now, man, just for like, you know, being there along the way. And I know, man, we bounced off each other. There were times where you were suffering and I was good, and other times you was good and I was suffering. So, man, it goes back to that community, man. And you're definitely a reflection of that. Like, yeah, before we get out of here and wrap this up, man, all right, if you had to give your 12-year-old self some advice, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Oh, God. What I say now is just start running early. You know, I started running when I was 25 years. Like that's very late for running. But if I started earlier than this, maybe something would have been different. Maybe like I would have done more races. That's something I want to do. I want to do more races, but for now with the injury, I cannot do. So this comrades is gonna be my last ultra. I'm retiring from ultra races after this one, and maybe in this year or the next year, I'm gonna retire from the marathons. Like I only do half marathons after that because of the medical condition, not because I want to. But I have to, like, you have to maintain and sustain your health, and this is how it should be now. But yeah, run more, meet more people. That's something I always wanted to do more of, and time does not go back. So I'm starting from today.
Yeah, man, that's good advice right there, man. And you know. And hearing you say that as you're stepping away from the ultras and eventually the marathons, I just hope that you don't step away from the running community, man. You're such an asset
Thank you,
To
bro.
anybody, any organization, anybody that you come in contact with, man. But it's been a pleasure, my guy. Truly appreciate it. Thank you for sitting down with me today, man.
Thank
Wishing you
you.
just safe travels to Congrats this week. And I can't wait to follow you next Sunday. All right, man. Well, you take care. I appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, my bro. See you. Bye bye.
All right, man. Yeah.